Well, hello, everybody out there in Radio Entrepreneurs Land. We continue to flow shows and stories of entrepreneurship in this economy. And if we all thought that things were going to get back to the old way, we warned you, it's just another new way starting in the fall as we look into our vaccination booster time and a new variant. So everybody's adapting again. That's the name of the game for entrepreneurs. And when you're talking change, who better to talk to than Marc Z, President Marc Z Legal Staffing, and having your own Marc Z moment. Hi, Marc.
Hey, Jeff, great to be here. Thanks for having me on the show.
Great, Marc. Marc, every day I'm sent resumes from clients and they say to me, "What do you think?" And my first answer is, I don't know what to think. I got to talk to them. This whole resume thing, I know you have some thoughts about it for entrepreneurs, right?
Right, Jeff. The resume is such a key in terms of the hiring process. And in some ways, it's taken a back seat to the hiring process because employers, number one, have a lot of hiring needs right now. And number two, they don't have a lot of people to evaluate resumes, and they have to make sometimes split decisions. But resumes are really, really important as a guide to employers, and they're really important to represent potential employees. And that's really taken a step back because with the internet, with having resumes on your laptop, it's a quick process to send a resume. Unlike before, you and I go back a little bit when you used to go to CopyCop, you would get your resume, you would have it laid out, you would send it to different employers, and you'd be strategic. Today, employees are less strategic in terms of sending out their resumes or changing their resumes or adapting their skill set to the specific skill set that our employers are asking. And they're not really looking at, when they're preparing their resumes, looking at pitfalls that would come. And that's, I think, it's important because these are pitfalls that employers still look at and utilize. So for example, you should have a resume that is not more than 2 pages. A resume is an overview of your background. That's been true since the whole hiring by resume usage has begun. The second thing is, you want to make sure your resume is a true representative of the work you can do. So for example, make sure your resume is properly proofread. If an employer, particularly if you're representing yourself as an attorney that does very good drafting and accuracy and editing, and you have typos in your resume, what's the first thing the employer is going to think? Well,
my partner throws out at least 40% of all resumes because of typos and grammatical errors.
Right.
He says to me, if they can't take the time to get their resume right, what's going to happen when they have a job?
Correct. That's what the employer thinks. So what we always say to candidates, after you've done your resume, after you've completed all types of proofing, then have an independent set of eyes look at that resume one more time, and then hand it back from you for one more time. Because you're totally right. If a resume goes out as your work product, that's the first thing the employer is going to think about. The next thing is, you do not need to have a resume that goes back 30 years if you've been in the workforce. Now, if you've been in the workforce a short time, any experience you have from internships to even routine jobs. We had a situation years ago during the recession where somebody had worked as a senior paralegal for a major firm, but didn't have a lot of experience. And then the recession hit. So what would happen? They were driving a truck because there were no positions in that specific area. So the employer asked, what was the candidate doing during the 2 years? And we went back to we had spoken to the candidate, and the candidate said, well, and he had told us he had driven a truck. And we had said to him, you should put this on your resume. And the candidate said, well, it has nothing to do with my experience. And we said, it may have nothing to do with your experience, but it shows that you didn't collect unemployment for 2 years, that you were doing something until things changed. So it's a balance between bringing in experience, but being conscious of the point in time for experience. That's another thing. The other thing that we suggest is be specific and be strategic with resumes. So for example, if an employer has 4 different jobs that you could be qualified for, make sure when you submit that resume that you're going for and presenting yourself for the job that you have the most qualifications for.
And I want to jump in on, I want to jump in on that, because so many times I'll see a resume and I'll go, did you notice that they were applying for another job and they just sent you the same resume?
Correct. Or you might have had, which you've had, multiple jobs in your company, and they send the resume first to one job, second for another. So which is it? And so you really want, what we suggest to candidates, have a base resume and then maybe tweak it for that specific job. Because then it shows you've read the job description, you care about that job description, you have confidence that you have that skill set for the job description, and you're on point. And you've read that job description. A lot of candidates, a lot of times, just send their resumes out because it's easy to do so. And the employers notice that 1, they've gotten multiple resumes from you. 2, that resume is the same. And 3, you're not strategic in terms of what position you have for.
Well, I think all practical things, but you're really saying, if you're going to do a resume, think about it. Think about it, put the thought into it and do it right, which is, I think, what you're really saying. But I also think, just to add before we finish, make sure you get someone who knows what they're doing to proof it before you send it out. You need to have it proofed, because, I know with my work, if I'm not getting it proofed, it's not right. And everybody needs a second set of eyes. I see the same mistakes over and over again, and I'm accustomed to them. And we all make that mistake. So Mark Z, I know you're a busy person. Everybody's trying to get hold of you. People talk about Mark Z in business networking groups that I'm in. It's funny when I'm sitting in networking group, especially my Thursday one, and people say, do you know Mark Z, to people? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So if somebody doesn't know Mark Z and they want to talk to him, how do they find him?
Well, first of all, Jeff, thank you for having me on today, and thank you for your thoughtful words. If they just Google Mark Z, M-A-R-C, and then the letter Z, we come right up. Or markzlegal.com, MARCZLEGAL.com, or 617-338-1300.
And for those who don't know, Mark Z, I know he's private, has been on the DL for the last couple of months. You wouldn't know it if you watched that big, positive, happy face. Soon to be back in an athletic gear again. Right, Mark?
I love your positive thinking. Hopefully one day soon, Jeff.
We're going to see you running around a tennis court with the Mark Z laugh. All right.
We're hoping. Thank you.
Oh, it's going to happen. We know it. And my name is Jeffrey Davis. And, you always have to cherish those special Mark Z moments.